To understand the secret connection between quantum thinking and consciousness, one must first abandon the comfort of certainty. For centuries, human thought has rested on the pillars of linear cause and effect, a worldview shaped by Newton's mechanics and reinforced by rational logic. The brain, in this vision, was a machine of neurons firing according to predictable laws, and consciousness was a secondary effect, an accidental flame produced by the grinding gears of biology. Yet even as science refined its models of matter and mind, questions persisted. Why does subjective experience arise at all? How can first-person awareness emerge from lifeless atoms? Why does the inner landscape of thought and emotion resist reduction to circuitry? It is within the cracks of these puzzles that quantum thinking begins to seep, and with it the possibility of a deeper connection between mind and cosmos. Quantum mechanics disrupted the classical worldview by revealing a universe that is indeterminate at its core. Particles exist not as fixed objects but as waves of probability. Their behavior cannot be predicted with certainty, only with likelihoods, until an act of measurement collapses the wave function into a definite outcome. In this strange theater, superposition, entanglement, and uncertainty reign. It is a world that challenges intuition, yet has been confirmed by every experiment designed to test it. Quantum thinking, then, is not merely about equations. It is a philosophical shift, an embrace of paradox and possibility as the very fabric of reality. When this way of seeing is applied to consciousness, a radical picture emerges. Perhaps awareness itself is not an accidental byproduct of matter, but an active participant in the unfolding of reality. The observer effect, one of quantum theory's most enigmatic features, provides a fertile metaphor. In the double-slit experiment, particles behave like waves until they are observed, at which point they appear as discrete particles. Observation changes the outcome. This has led many to speculate that consciousness plays a role in collapsing probabilities into actuality. While mainstream physicists caution against conflating measurement with awareness, the resonance is difficult to ignore. Human perception operates in a similar manner. Before we choose, countless possibilities hover in mind. The act of focusing attention collapses these into a single trajectory of experience. Consciousness is not passive reception, but active co-creation, and quantum thinking offers a language to describe this participation. Superposition mirrors the fluidity of thought itself. Before making a decision, the mind entertains multiple contradictory possibilities. One might imagine different futures, weigh competing desires, or hold conflicting emotions simultaneously. Only when intention solidifies does one pathway become real, while the others dissolve into the background of imagination. Dreams, intuition, and creativity thrive in this liminal state, where boundaries blur and contradictions coexist. To think quantumly is to embrace this multiplicity, to recognize that consciousness does not move in straight lines, but hovers across potentialities before collapsing into action. Linear thought demands exclusion, either this or that, while quantum thought allows inclusion, this and that, until choice resolves the ambiguity. Entanglement deepens the parallel. In quantum physics, two particles that interact become correlated in such a way that their states remain linked, even across vast distances. Measure one, and the other responds instantly, as though space and time are irrelevant. Consciousness reveals a similar phenomenon in human connection. Emotional bonds often defy explanation. Twins sensing each other's distress across continents, a parent feeling a child's danger before news arrives, lovers experiencing uncanny synchronicities. These are often dismissed as coincidence or selective memory. Yet quantum thinking offers a framework in which interconnectedness is fundamental rather than anomalous. Awareness may not be confined within individual skulls, but entangled across a field of shared being. The question of time further illustrates the resonance. In the quantum realm, time does not flow in a single direction. Events can appear correlated backward, as though future measurements influence past behavior. Consciousness, too, slips the leash of linear time. Memory allows the past to be vividly re-experienced. Imagination brings the future into present awareness. In deep meditative states, time may dissolve altogether, replaced by an eternal present in which all moments coexist. Mystical traditions describe enlightenment as a realization that past and future are illusions, constructs of the mind imposed upon a timeless reality. Quantum thinking aligns with these insights, suggesting that both matter and mind exist within a temporal fluidity where beginnings and endings are relative, and the now is the only true ground. The biological question arises: does the brain itself operate quantum mechanically? Traditional neuroscience treats neurons as classical switches, firing in deterministic cascades. Yet some researchers argue that quantum processes occur within the brain's microstructures, particularly in the microtubules that scaffold neurons. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff's orchestroir theory proposes that these microtubules sustain quantum coherence, enabling the brain to perform computations beyond classical limits. If correct, consciousness would arise not from mere electrical firing, but from quantum state reductions within these structures. Critics point out the difficulty of sustaining fragile quantum states in the brain's warm, noisy environment. However, discoveries in quantum biology suggest that life regularly exploits quantum effects. Photosynthesis appears to rely on quantum coherence to efficiently transfer energy. Birds navigate using entangled particles in their eyes. Even olfaction may involve quantum tunneling. If such processes occur in plants and animals, why not in the human brain, the most complex organ evolution has produced? But the secret connection is not limited to biology. It extends into the very nature of reality. Quantum physics implies that the universe is not a fixed stage, but a field of probabilities awaiting collapse. Consciousness, with its capacity for focused observation, seems uncannily suited to play the role of the measurer. Belief, intention, and expectation shape experience, often in measurable ways. The placebo effect is a striking example. Patients who believe they are receiving medicine experience real, physiological improvements, even when given inert substances. Their consciousness alters the body's reality. Similarly, mindset influences performance, healing, and resilience. These are not supernatural miracles, but demonstrations of the observer effect at the level of human life. Quantum thinking suggests that the mind is not merely watching the universe unfold, but actively participating in weaving its tapestry. Ancient traditions echo this perspective. Hindu Vedanta speaks of Atman, the individual self, as one with Brahman, the universal consciousness from which all forms arise. Buddhism emphasizes interdependence and emptiness, where phenomena have no independent existence outside of perception. Taoism describes the Tao as the ineffable source that gives rise to all dualities. Christian mysticism speaks of divine presence immanent in creation. Across cultures, sages have insisted that reality is dreamlike, that mind and world are not separate. Modern physics, through quantum paradoxes, seems to converge upon similar conclusions. What mystics intuited through meditation and vision, scientists now glimpse through mathematics and experiment. Consciousness and cosmos are intertwined. At the personal level, this recognition transforms identity. The classical self is bounded, a fragile ego housed in flesh and bone, destined for dissolution. Quantum consciousness, however, hints at a wider self. If awareness is entangled with the field of being, then death is not annihilation, but transition, a reconfiguration of entanglement into new patterns. Near-death experiences often describe a sense of expansion beyond the body, entry into timeless light, and encounters with interconnected unity. While skeptics attribute these to brain chemistry, they align with quantum descriptions of states beyond classical boundaries. Consciousness may not end with the body, but rejoin the sea of possibilities from which individuality arose. This does not diminish life, but enriches it, giving existence meaning beyond survival and consumption. Creativity exemplifies this dynamic. Great artists and inventors often describe their insights as arriving whole, as though downloaded from beyond rather than constructed step by step. The physicist Kekulé dreamt of the Ouroboros and realized the ring structure of benzene. Einstein visualized riding a beam of light and glimpsed relativity. Poets speak of inspiration descending like lightning. These are not random accidents, but expressions of consciousness accessing a deeper field of potential. Quantum tunneling provides a metaphor. Particles cross barriers without traversing the space between, leaping impossibly into new states. The mind, too, can leap across conceptual barriers, bypassing linear logic to arrive at solutions that classical thought could never reach. Quantum thinking trains the imagination to welcome paradox, to dwell in uncertainty, and thus to open pathways for such leaps. At the collective scale, adopting quantum thinking could revolutionize society. Our current structures are largely classical: linear hierarchies, binary oppositions, zero-sum competitions. These produce rigidity, conflict, and fragmentation. A quantum approach emphasizes complementarity, resonance, and coherence. Differences are not contradictions to be eradicated, but polarities to be integrated. In politics, this could mean moving beyond partisan dualities toward multipolar dialogue. In education, it could foster creativity and intuition alongside logic. In economics, it might inspire systems based on interconnection and sustainability rather than extraction. Quantum thinking reveals that complexity thrives when systems are open, adaptable, and entangled. Human societies, by mirroring these principles, could evolve toward resilience and harmony. Spiritual practice offers further confirmation. Meditation quiets the linear mind and reveals awareness as expansive, luminous, and interconnected. Neuroscience shows that during deep meditation, the brain exhibits coherence across hemispheres and frequency bands, resembling quantum coherence. Practitioners report timelessness, unity, and peace, experiences that align with quantum descriptions of wholeness. Prayer, contemplation, and mystical ecstasy yield similar states across traditions. Far from being hallucinations, these may be glimpses of the quantum nature of consciousness itself. The veil of separateness lifts, and awareness perceives itself as the ground of being in which all phenomena arise. The integration of science and spirituality through quantum thinking does not diminish either, but enriches both. Science gains a conceptual framework for phenomena long dismissed as anomalous. Spirituality gains a language that resonates with modern understanding. Together, they point toward a holistic vision where consciousness is not reduced to neurons nor elevated to superstition, but recognized as a fundamental aspect of reality. The secret connection lies here. Consciousness and quantum reality share the same grammar: probability, entanglement, complementarity, and the creative act of observation. To live from this recognition is to participate consciously in the unfolding of the cosmos. The implications are vast. Education could cultivate not just knowledge, but awareness of awareness, training minds to think quantumly, embracing ambiguity, holding paradox, and allowing intuition to complement reason. Medicine could expand beyond biochemistry to integrate the role of belief, intention, and consciousness in healing. Technology could evolve toward coherence with human well-being rather than exploitation of attention. Even global challenges like climate change might be addressed through quantum thinking, recognizing the deep entanglement of all systems and the necessity of collective shifts in consciousness. Solutions would not be imposed from above, but emerge from resonance across networks of minds attuned to the whole. Ultimately, the secret connection between quantum thinking and consciousness reveals that the boundary between inner and outer, mind and world, is less rigid than presumed. Awareness is not trapped within the skull, but resonates through the field of being. Matter is not inert substance, but but crystallized possibility. Observation is not passive seeing, but active creation. To recognize this is to awaken from the illusion of separateness. It is to see that the universe is not a cold machine, but a living web of relations in which consciousness is both participant and witness. This vision does not negate science, but fulfills it, extending inquiry into the very fabric of existence. It does not negate spirituality, but grounds it, offering evidence that the mystical intuition of unity has roots in the structure of reality itself. The secret is not that consciousness and quantum physics are vaguely connected, but that they may be two expressions of the same underlying truth. Reality is participatory, and awareness is woven into its foundation. To embrace this truth is to step into a new mode of being. It demands humility, for it dissolves the certainties of linear thought. It demands courage, for it expands identity beyond the comfort of ego. Yet it also offers liberation, for it reveals that we are not trapped in mechanical chains of cause and effect, but dwell in a sea of possibilities. Each act of attention is a creative collapse, each choice a quantum reduction that shapes the fabric of reality. Consciousness is not the prisoner of matter, but its co-author, and quantum thinking is the key that unlocks this recognition. Together, they form a secret connection that is no longer hidden, but awaiting acknowledgement. A truth that once glimpsed transforms not only understanding, but existence itself.